Yo, what's up? We are live with Dog Talk Tuesdays. Let me go ahead and mute my phone. And what else do I got to do? As most of you know, Facebook has me blocked for 30 days from going live. So I'm still trying to figure out what that's about. So tonight's live is strictly from YouTube. I am going to be sharing it from YouTube to Facebook. I don't know how that works as far as the interaction. So most of the interaction is going to be focused strictly here on YouTube. Let me get this shared out. Give me just a second. And bam. And there's the live. Give me just a second. Copy. Where's Facebook? There we go. All right, so let me go ahead and share this on Facebook real quick. And we can get going with today's topics. And for some reason, this don't look like it's actually, oh, I see. Hold on. Let me figure this out real quick. So let's see here. Give me just a second to figure this out. Facebook threw a monkey wrench in. Edit post. There we go. We are live. And that'll take care of that. And then I'm going to go to the group and do the same thing. Give me just a second, y'all, while people join in. All right, so might even keep it this way. It looks like it might be a smaller crowd. Give me just a second. You have a paper towel quick? Thank you. So we might even keep it this way. We'll see. But for right now, so I'm waiting on Facebook to get back to me as far as I had them review whatever it was that made them make their choice. So I'm waiting on them to get back to me right now, and we'll see. But so for right now, possibly for the next 30 days, we'll be doing the live strictly from YouTube. And let me see who's in here right now. Okay, we got, what is that? Dom Seguenza, 100% knowledge about to go down. What's up, man? Thanks for joining in. Dustin Hatfield, thanks for joining in from East Tennessee. Who else we got? Casper, what's up, man? Thanks for joining in. He said, how does the UKC still register a litter as American Bully if the sire is American Pit Bull and the dam is American Bully, or vice versa? Basically, what UKC is doing, you got to remember, the American Bully as a breed and community hijacked, the UKC registering their dogs as pit bulls so that they could pass on paperwork that was, so that they could still pass on paperwork. So even like in the exotic community, a lot of their dogs are registered as pit bulls because they just want to have paperwork supporting the lineage of the dog. So that's basically what, the UKC found itself trapped in when it came to the American Bully. And then at some point, the UKC decided to register the American Bully. If I'm not mistaken, that was 2013. I think ABKC was 2004, and I think UKC got involved in 2013 or so. I have to look that up. But anyway, UKC got involved. Some people say it was for money. I don't believe they got involved with the bully because of money. I think they got involved initially with the bully to give people the opportunity to separate themselves from the the pit bull, and the only way they could do that was to give the American Bully its own lane, treat it like its own breed. And you know, and I think through that period of time, you know, now you got UKC grand champions, things like that. As far as a dog being registered American Bully or an American Pit Bull, and like you said, register a litter as American Bully if the sire is American Pit Bull Terrier and dam is American Bully. We have who is it? All our dogs are registered with UKC as American Bully. Lady Justice was registered with UKC as American Pit Bull Terrier, and then we had her crossed over to American Bully. So so if you've got a litter of pups, but the dogs in her lineage still say American Pit Bull. See what I'm saying? So but she's registered American Bully. So I want to say that's part of the whole single register thing. So we still have her lineage, but she is registered. We have her lineage through UKC as American Pit Bull Terrier. And then it restarts with her as an American Bully. So what happened is you'll register that litter as American Bullies, and you can get away with it because if I'm not mistaken, the stud books are still open. So it's just kind of you saying I use these pit bulls, even though they're probably bullies, to create this American Bully, and that's how they go about it. And that's why that's why it's done that way. So that's always going to be a tricky situation, you know, explaining that to people and getting it. It looks like it's still going. All right. So some people run themselves into a hole because they want to breed. Like we've had some dogs that wanted to breed the King. King is registered ABKC American Bully and UKC American Bully. Same thing with Cardi Bull and now Justice. Well, we've had people that wanted to breed their dogs to King, but they want to keep that pit bull paperwork because all the people in their surroundings are American Bully still registered as pit bulls. Some people feel that you register with ABKC as American Bully and UKC as pit bull. UKC is never going to go anywhere, and I don't think the American Bully is going to go anywhere with the UKC as far as disappearing. So I would say we just made the decision that, you know, to get all our dogs registered with as American Bullies. But that's a whole tricky thing, and it's tricky not because of what UKC is doing. It's tricky because of what the American Bully community did and their involvement with utilizing the UKC to keep track of their paperwork and having to do it as pit bull. Let's see. Don said tuning in from Guam. Okay, you all the way in from Guam. Thanks for joining in, man. Let's see. WKRK9 said, "What's up, Daryl? I have an allergy question." Okay, go ahead and ask it. And let's see. Rick Libre said, "What up, Thrower? What's up, Rick? Thanks for joining in." Oh, and you in Ontario, Cali. Okay, I didn't know that. Thanks for joining in, dude. Let's see here. Mr. J said, "I'm in here." What's up, Mr. J? And okay, Bully Views in here. What's up, Asani? Robert McCormick's in here. I feel like the romper room where she had the little remember she used to be like, you hope she call your name and she'd be like, I see Daryl. I see. She actually never said Daryl, I don't think, ever in my life. It was always simple names like James and Mike and Dave, stuff like that. Steve LeDuc's in here. Interested to hear what you have to say about the Dave Wilson offer. We're gonna get into that. I'd be lying if I said I didn't send an email. Hey, I don't blame you. You know what I mean? I didn't, but I don't blame you. You know what I'm saying? I don't see anything wrong with, you know, getting him involved. He is, you know, the man, the myth, the legend when it comes to bullies. So I don't see anything wrong with that. And let's see, WKR said, "I'm new to the bully breed. Why is this breed prone to so many allergies? And how early do they present themselves?" Okay, so before we get into the topics, you know, as normal, I'm going to go through you guys' questions in the group. We'll get into the topics, and then I'll go back to the questions that we have in the group. Allergies. One thing is the bulldog, the English bulldog, is extremely what should I say, has an extremely weak immune system. So you have a lot of allergies in that breed. There are a lot of American bulldogs, because of them being mostly white, have a lot of allergy and immune system issues. Mastiffs, if not bred correctly, have allergy and immune system issues. Pit bull, the Amstaff typically don't, but the Amstaff does have more allergy issues than the actual pit bull does. Unfortunately, with the American bullies, they weren't trying to create a dog. They were trying to create a look when everybody got involved in this. I do believe Dave Wilson and the Elite Edge and Razor's Edge was looking for a great dog. I believe that when it came to a lot of the Gotti line people, um, they were more concerned with a look, and then you got the two together. And if you mix the show ring, which I think, a lot of the Razor's Edge dogs were supposed to be, show quality dogs. When you start getting into show and rather than performance, you start eliminating problems that can happen when you have performance, because you're not performing. And therefore, you start to bring weaknesses into your dogs. And therefore, we ended up with allergy issues. As I've said before, I believe when dogs have grass allergies and allergies to meat, they really should not be bred. There are people that I'm cool with that still breed them, but they at least make sure they breed those dogs to stronger immune systems. I can say with our program, if our dogs are allergic to any type of meat product, poultry, pork, whatever, anything that a wild animal should be able to run, catch, kill, and eat, we won't breed it. And if they're allergic to grass because they got to run through grass to do 90% of what they do, we won't breed those dogs either. And unfortunately, sometimes you might buy it, get stuck with it, but we realize that we won't breed it. Here's the flip side to that. There are things you can do to boost your dog's immune system. There are ways you can feed your pregnant female to boost her immune system, and she passes that to those puppies. There's nothing you can do about genetics, though. One thing about how I have noticed, King had allergy issues to grain food when he was a puppy. When he hit about a year and a half old, he all of a sudden those issues went away. So some of these dogs do grow out of their allergy issues. So we are comfortable with knowing that even now, so far, all of our offspring from our King breedings do eat grain food, and regular food. So far, it looks like we bred it out. But all our females, they're unstoppable. None of them have any allergy issues. Sadie eats pedigree as a kibble. We don't have any allergy issues with our dogs, and we're not, like super focused on raw and all that stuff. But it goes back to the breedings that they were doing. They weren't caring if their dog had missing fur. People, you got to remember back then, go to some of those YouTube videos, and I'm not going to say which specific ones, but there's multiple ones. If you go to those videos, you'll see people bringing their dogs to do a breeding, and the dog they're about to breed to has missing patches of fur. They didn't give a shit. As long as they got a big head or big, thick bone, they didn't give a shit. And that's why we are dealing with these allergies issues today. I feel that it is our responsibility to try to clean that up and get rid of those issues. And I feel, my personal opinion, if you have a dog that is allergic to grass, you have a dog that's allergic to any type of meat product, you should not be breeding it. If you have a dog that's allergic to grain food, things like that, I think you can go ahead and breed it, but you need to breed that dog to a dog that has no allergy issues. Because when you breed it, what you're doing is you're breeding an immune deficiency. And that's what it all boils down to. Because the dog shouldn't be allergic to anything. Yes, Zola said, hit that like button. Yes, and make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, especially since Facebook has blocked me from going live. Make sure you guys subscribe. And yes, thank you, Hassani, for sharing. You guys go ahead and share it if you can throughout the Facebook groups, especially since we're limited to YouTube. Let's see. Anthony said, had to walk the dogs here now. What's up? What's up, Anthony? Anthony, thanks for joining in, brother. Where are we? Betsy's in here. What's up? And who else is in here? Travis, from Burlington, Iowa, listening in. Thanks for joining in. So let's go ahead. Who else we got in here? Against the grain bullies. Exactly. Poor breeding. Exactly what he said. That's what it comes down to, is poor breeding. And we all might get stuck with it. A breeder may not be honest with you when you ask them. You just got to be honest with yourself with what you're dealing with and decide. Some of us are going to have to take losses where you buy a dog and that dog, shouldn't be bred. Doesn't mean it doesn't make a great home, a great pet. Doesn't mean it won't make a great pet for someone else. But it does mean it possibly should not be bred. Let's see. Damian Voss said, "What's up, Daryl? We decided to go with our male band dog to fix our structure." There you go. Do you think this is a good move? The band dog is a clean dog. I think from what I understand, the stud books are open with the registries with both ABKC and UKC. So you can still create your American Bully. There's a guy, Damian, what is his name? Damian sometime Watson. And he started from scratch with his American Bullies about 10 years ago. I'm sorry. Super cool cat. He's rarely on Facebook though. So if you could find him, he'd be a great person to hit up because he started from scratch and has some great looking dogs. What I would say is it definitely depends on the look of your band dog. You just want to make sure it doesn't show too much mastiff. So if you're going to start from scratch and look at it as you're starting from scratch, you're taking your American Bullies that you feel need better structure. You're taking your band dog that you feel has that. You're starting from scratch. Treat that as an F1 or F2, and then you're going into your American Bullies. You just want to make sure that from here on, you don't go back to the band dog and that you go to American Bullies that give you the structure that you're looking for. But if you've got the dogs there on the premises, and it's easier for you to do your breedings that way, and the stud books are still open, I don't have a problem with it at all. Only thing I would say is watch your band dog because a true band dog, he's going to be bred to have kind of edge to it. And it's going to be, it's going to be for protection or catch work. So you just want to make sure that you're picking the right temperament, for the pups that you take off of that breeding. Typically, your more outgoing pups are going to be pups that are better for hunting and better for the American Bully type temperament. And typically your dogs that are more, I need to grab the fan. Typically your dogs that are more, what would you say? Your dogs that are more elusive are going to be more for your guardian work. And those are probably the ones that picked up your band dog traits. So for your bullies, if you're going to take your band dog to your bully to correct the form or the structure of the bully, then just make sure that the pups you pick have that bully temperament. And those are going to be your more outgoing pups. So, for instance, if I was breeding band dogs right now, I would be taking the pups that were more outgoing, using them for hunting because they tend to get along better with other dogs and people. And I would take the more reserved dogs and use those band dogs for protection. So, when it comes to you using a band dog crossing to the bully, it's the same thing. Take your more outgoing pups with the best structure and then utilize those. Let's see. KJ Johnson said, recently seen a Vibes Cartel son pass from rattlesnake bites. There's a lot of dogs getting hit by snakes right now. How do you usually keep the snakes away from the dogs to keep the situations like that from happening in the future? The best thing, I had a Jack Russell that was, I'm not going to say she was untrainable, but I never really put work into her. She used to actually kill rattlesnakes. My larger dogs were always, the best thing you can do when it comes to snakes is go ahead. If you can find, that garter snake, that gopher snake, even if you can buy one for, I don't know, $50 from a store, bring that into your yard, teach your dogs to stay away from it. If you have to kill a snake, that's a little bit, if you can't come across anything and you got to kill a snake maybe, again, you're going to teach your dog to stay away from it. And you're basically going to condition your dog to not be interested in snakes. And that way, if a snake is living and the dog feels it's a threat, the dog will stay away from it, but warn you. If the dog does, but what the problem with snakes is the dog has no way of knowing whether it's poisonous or not. So if you live in an area where the dogs are prone to snake bites, and you got the type of dog is going to engage with a snake, then the first thing you want to do is go get you a snake, catch you a snake, find you a snake, buy you a snake that's living, non-poisonous, and condition your dog as early as possible to stay away from that snake. So when we were young, my cousin and I, we were hunting with hounds. That was the thing. We could always come across a garter snake, and we would teach the dogs to leave them alone. You know, leave them alone. Your terriers, it's going to be hard to teach them that. But a lot of terriers are capable. Like I said, my Jack Russell used to kill rattlesnakes, no problem. And she never got bit. I was not encouraging it. It was just nothing I could do. She'd see them and she'd go in. John Wright said, what up? What's up, John? Thanks for joining in. Tuxedo Pitbull said, I can't believe people would breed dogs with allergies to grass meat. Yes. Weird, never knew that was a thing. Yes. Because so many people are into this breed just for the money. And I've always felt you can breed dogs as a business. You can breed dogs and make good money with it, but you got to also have a good product, you know, and there's so many people that are into it just for the money and they don't really care about the product. Top of the class, Bully said you should start bringing people on with you. That was my plan. Then Facebook messed it up, and it kind of threw off my figuring out how I want to do the plan. What I think I'm going to do is starting next Tuesday, I'm going to figure out, and you guys saw Bully View in here, so we're going to hold him, put Hassani's feet to the fire. I'm going to have him teach me how he pins the link so that people can join the live through the link. So next Tuesday, we are going to start that. I just haven't been able to. There's been times where I'm talking to you guys and I'm trying to pin the link and it's not working. So what I'll probably do is do a test run, figure out how to do that. But next Tuesday, what I want to do is start bringing you guys in on live and just give each person like 3 to 5 minutes. You know, we go ahead, go through the topics, and then give people 3 to 5 minutes to, rather than so much of me going through the comments, which I'll still do, but we give people opportunity to jump in and get, 3 to 5 minutes to state their opinion, and we, have a discussion, because I can bring 4 people at a time on here live. So we're going to definitely start getting into that, and that will start next Tuesday. So that's funny you brought that up. Robert McCormick said, yes, he should bring people on, and that's what we're going to start doing. Damian Voss stated it was high prey drive, but he's great with the family. Okay, so then that depends on the direction you want your bully to go. Do you want that dog that you're able to take to PetSmart? Like our dogs, I just want a dog that we can walk into PetSmart and walk to the vet, take to the vet, take on walks, and the dog is cool. I don't care about going to dog parks. I don't like dogs that are overly friendly and silly like that. I've had dogs that, when it was time to go, they were able to go, but at the same time, they were able to function at dog parks, dog beaches, but they still hung around me more. I don't really want a dog that just runs around playing with all kinds of other dogs. To me, that's over socialization, but to each his own. You know what, Damien? God bless you too, man. But yeah, just watch their temperaments. You know what I mean? Because again, remember, you're creating a bully, you're not creating a bandog. So just watch the temperament of the pups, and you should get what you want. Thoughts on feeding brand cereal to your dogs? I have never fed brand cereal to my dogs. I would assume it's not bad as long as it's mixed up with other things. I've never done it, but I would assume it's fairly good for them. That's something you got to look into, though. And if you want, hit me up and I'll look into it with you. But I've never done it. I've never done it. Let's see. Home Depot sells a snake repellent. Okay. On that level, there are snake repellents. I should have mentioned that. There are snake repellents that you can use to keep them away from your areas. I've never used it, so I don't know. Like I have a yard that's fairly big, but wouldn't be that big of a deal to do a repellent with. If you got acres, how many bottles of repellent does that take? I have no idea. But there is snake repellent out there. I would still go with training your dog. Go ahead. If you can catch a snake, catch one. If you can buy a snake for 50, 60, $100, buy you a snake. And, hopefully when you're done training the dogs, you can take it back to the pet shop and tell them you don't want it no more. But yeah, so everybody hit the like button, like Zola said. But let's go ahead. Let's see. A breeder told me he doesn't support health testing, OFA, pinhip, but claims his dogs are genetically healthy. Is that a bit sketchy? I would say question him on how old his oldest dogs are. Um, I think when it comes to building a new breed, an unestablished breed that does, here's the thing: most dogs are healthy dogs, of all breeds. Most dogs have decent hips of all breeds. Um, there are dogs that will not do as well on a pin hip test as another dog, but still outrun that dog and run further than that dog and live longer than that dog and have better hips when it gets old than that dog. So I do think we put a lot of weight on the health testing that shouldn't be, especially on a new breed. I personally feel, and this is my opinion, I think you should build your overall look first. Then when you know you're getting ready to start doing your line breedings, that's when I think you need to start doing your health testing. But I also believe you should be pushing your dog. So you can have a dog with a high rear that doesn't do well on its OFA testing, but still is a more powerful and a better built dog than somebody who passes the test with flying colors. And when I say better built, I'm talking more functional. So to each his own with that. I would say when it comes to that breeder, I would not label them sketchy just because they don't do any type of testing. My question would be, what do you do with your dogs as far as you testing their dogs, their functionality? How long are your dogs living? You know, if I come to your yard and you got an 8-year-old dog, what can he still do? I got a 15-year-old dog in my yard, right? Well, no, Floyd's 14. So I got a 14 going on 15-year-old dog in my yard right now. What does it matter if he ever passed the test and he can still at today at 14 outrun most bullies? So to me, you know what I mean? He was never tested, and he was perfectly healthy, and he's done more than what most health tested dogs are ever going to accomplish in life. So I would say, I wouldn't call somebody sketchy just because they don't health test. Remember, health testing is a huge marketing scheme right now for the people who lack the substance that the bully world tends to be looking for right now. So I wouldn't call them sketchy. I would just, question him more on his dogs, what he does with them, beyond just them sitting on the couch and things like that. Um, let's see. Freddie said, just ask real how to pin it. Yeah, see, it gives me options. I'm gonna figure it out, and then come next Tuesday, we definitely are gonna start bringing people on, and we'll kind of figure out how we want to organize the live, what's best to do it. How about porcupine repellent? I'm Tuxedo. What you dealing with out there? I've never had to deal with porcupines. I'm in California. We have to go deep into the woods to come across porcupine. We did go hunting. I don't remember if that was California. We killed a porcupine and actually ate him that night. Um, Porcupine, I would hate for that to get into my yard. I would think regular rodent repellent, and I have one. Hold on, let me grab it because I don't remember what it's called. I don't know if it works for snakes, so let's see. Um, what is I want to say, oh, Critter Ritter. I can't find it though. One of my kids must have grabbed it. Critter Ritter is a pretty good repellent. It should work for porcupine. It's also natural. If I'm not mistaken, it's made from like extract from hot peppers and stuff like that. And you spray it around your yard. We were using it because we get skunks in our yard. We get raccoons every now and then. We get skunks. We get rabbits on a regular. So I use the Critter Ritter because I don't want my dogs getting into it with skunks. And I also, when the females go into heat, I use it to keep the rabbits out the yard because I don't want them bringing fleas and stuff like that in our yard. So I start using, but it's called Critter Ritter. I don't remember if it works for reptiles though, and I would imagine it might. So I don't remember. But let's see here. But I luckily don't have to. I would hate to have to deal with porcupines. That would be a pain in the ass. Um, let's see. Exactly. Betsy said, where do you live? Yeah, because he's got it all out there. What's up, man? Salute back to you. So let's go ahead and get into the topics. And then we'll get back into the comments. One of the topics, so we got 3 topics, it looks like today. Yeah, so first topic topics. Dave Wilson said he wants to work with an XL breeder, and that he's willing to work with an XL breeder on their breedings. And but he made the statement that he wants somebody that's willing to invest and do it right. So one, what does that mean? And then two, should he pick a known breeder? And what can he offer to the XL world or to your yard? You know what I mean? What do you think Dave can offer? Or do you think he can't? Another topic was, what does it take to make a breed? And is the American Bully a breed or a concept? And then we have Ryan Sterling said, how do we call out bad dogs or breeders and not be a hater? Is not saying anything just as bad as bad breedings? So let's go ahead and start. That's funny because actually myself and Robert McCormick were kind of talking about that earlier. Let's go ahead and start with Robert Sterling. Actually, we'll go in the order that were picked. So Dave Wilson made a post, said he wants people to email him that would want him to be involved in their XL breedings. And his question, but he stated that he wants somebody that's willing to invest and willing to do it right. And then people were like, he should pick a known. Some people felt he should pick known breeders. Some people felt he should pick new breeders. Some people felt he doesn't have anything to offer their program. Some people felt he does. So my question to you guys is, how do you guys feel about that? Do you guys think, I'll go ahead and state it, me personally, I think he has a lot to offer to someone. Is not necessarily what I would be looking for. I would say for me personally, for the Thrower Bullies, when we know we've got our temperament locked in, then that's when we would more be interested in dealing with, a Dave Wilson. Right now, we're getting what we want with our temperament. We just haven't really locked it in so that we know when we breed it to another dog of a totally different temperament, you're still going to get our temperament. When we reach that point, that's when I would be more open to, dealing with a Dave. Let me see if I can figure out how to bring people on here. I know I can get the link. Hold on just a second. All right. All right, y'all. So can I pin it? Mute, start, cam, mic, share, invite, leave. Let me see something. If you make a comment, put user in timeout, block user. All right, so here's the link to join. Bam. Now, the question is, can I pin it and still post you guys? Private chat, brand, banners. I don't see how to pin it. We're going to have to get that figured out. But that's the link to join right now. So what I'll do is I will periodically post it in the comments as we're talking. And hopefully you guys can click on that and join. Let me see here. So we'll see how that works. But what do you think? Do you think Dave has anything to offer? Like I said, I would prefer to lock in our temperament and then go ahead and run and see what Dave, has to offer and is willing to do. Video file, share screen. That's not gonna do it. Invite, leave studio. Yeah, see, I don't see anything on here that says how to pin that. So that's the question. I personally think honestly it's a good thing. I would prefer to see Dave point out, take a grand champion, a champion, and then a dog that hasn't champed at all, and say these are 3 good representations of the American Bully. Because right now, when you look at the ABKC grand champions, they're not consistent at all. When you look at the ABKC champions, they're all over the place. When you look at the UKC grand champions, they're fairly consistent. And the UKC champions are about as consistent as the ABKC grand champions. So I would like to see Dave just say, hey, this is the look. You know, a lot of people know I think Dooley's one of the dopest dogs in the game. Okay, it worked. Hold on, bro. Let me bring you in. This is the look. You know, a lot of people know I think Dooley's one of the dopest dogs in the game. WKR. Hold on, bro. You hear me?
Oh yeah, I can hear you, sir.
This is the look. You know, a lot of people know. So go ahead and turn down the volume, because right now it's echoing. I'm hearing myself and I'm hearing what you're watching it on. So whatever you're watching on, turn down the volume, and then we should be good. So and you're probably, do you have earphones? Okay, because now I can't hear you. Let's see. Hold on.
All right, can you hear me now?
Bam, I hear you.
Okay,
and
yeah,
there's no echo. Perfect.
Okay, yeah, I cut my TV down. I was testing your link out just to see if it worked, and it does work. Hey,
so did you have
to test run?
Exactly. So all you had to do was click on it.
I just clicked on the link, buddy.
Bam. Okay, so there we go, you guys. We open. Yeah. All you got to do is click on it, and I'll just keep posting it till I can figure out how to pin it in there.
Exactly.
So perfect.
Exactly. All right.
Well, what did you think of the whole? What did you think of the whole Dave Wilson making that offer to ABKC?
Well, I actually didn't. I didn't catch that part.
Okay.
So, like I said, I just, my question was about the allergies. But once I seen you post the link, I just wanted to make sure. I said, well, let me try it out, see if it works. And actually, I'm being a test dummy, and it worked. So yeah, hey, listen.
So perfect. I'll keep posting it quickly, and then between next Tuesday and I'll figure out a pin it.
Okay, good. But I just want to say, man, look, I've been tuning in for the last few weeks with you, and your knowledge is power, dude. I appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I appreciate you tuning in and giving, showing that love. You've been on here on a regular. That's dummy on my first time bringing someone in. You know what I'm saying? But
exactly.
Yeah, dude, it's been good. But yeah, as far as the allergies and your question with the allergies, it is the breeding. It's the breeders just not caring.
Okay.
And then I think a lot of times you know what I'm saying, to ask those questions. Do you have allergy issues? If you're feeding nothing but raw, is there a reason you're feeding nothing but raw? You know what I mean? And we have to, as a community, we got to learn to ask those questions of the breeders before we get involved. And as breeders, if I don't have allergy issues, that needs to be one of my first questions when I breed outside my yard. You know what I mean? Okay. And we're not doing that. It's so focused on the look and what I see that we not looking beyond, those types of issues. But it got in here. And like I said, you can go to those old YouTube videos. Just look at some of those old videos and watch them dudes when they getting ready to do a breeding.
Okay.
And one of the dogs hardly has any hair, and nobody cared. You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely something to pay attention to.
I have been tuning in, and I've been noticing that people's talking about allergies as far as like the change of the seasons, or has the allergies flared up, dogs being allergic to grass and breaking out in hives, and food allergies. And I'm like, like I say, I'm new to the breed. I've dealt with pit bulls back in the day, but the American Bully, I'm trying to get into this here, and I'm hearing a lot of allergy issues and stuff. So I have a 4-month-old pup. Yeah. She hasn't broke out yet, but I was wondering, is that something that I need to prepare for, or
I would definitely say prepare for it by giving her a diet that boosts her immune system. Since we know there's a possibility, as far as if you increase, sardines are extremely good for the immune system. You have building our antioxidants through blueberries, strawberries. Those are very good for the immune system. I wouldn't put a dog on grain free unless I knew it had to be. So I would start her off with regular, kibble.
Yeah, she's
And then from there, okay, cool. Yeah. So, and then
yeah, yeah, she's
from there,
strictly
you can
kibble.
always
I
buy
don't
it
do
back.
raw. She's strictly kibble. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And see, I do raw ground beef, raw chicken. I do raw ground beef. I'll do boiled chicken feet. I give our dogs chicken feet. But the only thing I give 100% raw is vegetables, fruits, and ground beef. That's the only thing I do raw.
Okay.
Other than that, and it's always mixed with their kibble. And but you
Gotcha.
definitely want to look into boosting her immune system. Garlic is good for the immune system. Just like
Mm,
one clove every other day. And she's
okay.
4 months old, so I would probably give her half
Yeah.
a clove every other day.
Gotcha.
Um,
Gotcha.
but just keep her immune system, keep it strong. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Now I fast once a week, which is great for the immune system, but I don't do that until they hit a year. So if
Okay.
she's 4 months old, you're probably feeding her 3-4 times a day. So then
Yeah. 3.
maybe once a week. Okay, so you're feeding her 3 times a day. So on
3 times.
Sunday,
Yes.
just feed her twice and then go
Gotcha.
back to Monday. And then once she hits a
Okay.
year old, you want to get her to the point where she's only eating once a day. And once she hits a year old, go ahead and feed. Even if she's eating twice a day at over a year old. Some people just prefer to do it that way. And some dogs do eat better with the portions broken in half. You know what I mean? But
Mm-hmm.
then Sundays, my dogs don't get nothing but water. We don't change the exercise regimen, nothing. They strictly get water. And that just gives them the ability to clean out their system. And then bam, we go back. But you'd be surprised how much fasting boosts that immune system. You'd be surprised.
Gotcha.
So
Gotcha.
definitely be in tune with it.
Well, man, look, thank you so much, man. And like I say, I'm tuning in, man, and yeah, I'm digging you,
Thanks for
dude.
joining in and thanks for testing it out, man.
No
Thanks for
problem,
testing
kid.
out the league. All
All
right,
right.
good looking out.
No.
Later. So yeah, shout out to him for doing that, to WKR for jumping on here and doing that because I wasn't sure if it was going to work or not. And so it did work. So that's a good thing. So what I'll do till I figure out how to pin the link, I'll just keep periodically posting it in the comments and we can go from there. But like I was saying, I personally think that that Dave Wilson does have something to offer to the game. And let's see, is he trying to come back in? Or are you trying to get? Oh, there he goes. I do feel he does have something to offer to the game. The other thing I think that's great about Dave Wilson making that offer is it brings more light to the XL bully game. We know Danny Cervantes with Second to None Bullies, Heather from Oily Drop Bullies, Fred Duran with Primo Line Bullies have all stated that the XLs just do not show up to the shows. I'm guilty of it. We went to our first show this year, to the Cinco de Mayo show. But we still didn't enter King into the sanction show. I just wasn't interested into it. We entered him into a couple of the fun shows. But I think Dave Wilson's shining a little light on the XL game. I think is a blessing to the XLs. And as far as your kennel, I think whoever breeds gets Dave Wilson involved with their breedings, obviously that's going to bring some light to your kennel. I think that's going to be a blessing for you. I don't see how you could lose on it. Let's see. Rick Libre said, and we're going to get into the next topic. For skin irritations and itching, I use a product called New Stock. New Stock is a great product. I have that right here. It is a great product. You use it I think it's every 3 or 4 days. I think it's every 3 days. That he said is made for horses and dogs, regenerates hair growth, and cleans up most skin issues. It's a great product. What I like to do with the New Stock, when I notice an issue, give the dog a good bath. I like to bathe them in peroxide and apple cider vinegar. Soak the dog real good with that. And I do use 1 part peroxide, 1 part apple cider vinegar, 1 part water, and then make sure that there's enough of it for you to soak the dog in it. And then soak the dog in it, let it sit about, I don't know, 7-10 minutes. Give it a little more than 5 minutes, so 5 to 10 minutes. And then I go ahead, rinse the dog off, not a super thorough rinsing, just rinse the dog off. And then I will go ahead, bathe the dog with usually some type of oatmeal shampoo, something that helps with healing. Then I'll dry the dog off, let the dog run around while it's dry, and then I will go ahead and use the new stock. Even if you have old scars, new stock is very good. On the days, because you use new stock, I think it's every 3 days. On the days that I don't use it, I use coconut oil in replace of the new stock on those specific little areas where you might have an issue. But new stock is very good. If you have allergy issues, scarring, anything like that, new stock is good. Casper said you mentioned the American Bully stud book being open. Can you explain what that means? Basically, what the stud book means is that the breed is still in a creation phase. Now, there are times where there becomes kind of variables to the stud book being open, but pretty much what it means is, so like, if I'm not mistaken, don't quote me on this, I think there's 2 forms of stud book being open. One is dogs can be single registered and other breeds can be used to create the breed that at hand. The other is no other breeds can come to it, but dogs can be single registered. Single registering means my dog has the look, but doesn't have the lineage, doesn't have the paper lineage to back it up. So if the stud book is still open, what that means, fully open, what that means is I can go get an Amstaff, an American Bulldog, and I can create my own American Bully. And as long as he has the look, I just show him the ABKC and UKC, send pictures of him front and back, and they're going to look at it. As long as he's got the look, they'll go ahead and register him as an American Bully. He just won't have the lineage. Typically, I think they want you to show what you use to create it. Kind of like the bandog world. The bandog world, you're able to mix breeds and do whatever you want when you want, but you need to be able to show lineage and what breeds you use to get to where you're at. So I'm assuming that's what the ABKC and UKC would require with their stud book being open. There's another version of stud book being open, if I'm not mistaken, to where you can single register dogs. They don't have to show any. So like Justice was considered single registered by crossing over from pit bull to American Bully, but she had a lineage to back it up. If I'm not mistaken, you can take any dog off the street when it comes to single registering if a stud book is open, and you can register that dog as an American Bully as long as he has the look. You don't have to acknowledge what dogs went into it because you may not even know yourself. So eventually the stud book is closed, and then that means your dog has to have lineage to back it up, and that lineage needs to be within our registry or a registry that the registry you're dealing with respects. So UKC and ABKC kind of go back and forth where there's a respect given to each other, at least when it comes to American Bullies. And then when that starts, that means the stud book is closed, and you can no longer use other breeds to create that breed, and you can no longer single register. Let's see. Spirit Rider Betsy said her new stock was good. Yes, it's great. It is very good stuff. All right, so what was our other topic? Ryan Sterling said, how do we call out bad dogs and breeders and not be a hater? Is not saying anything just as bad as bad breedings. Is not saying anything just as bad as bad breedings. That is a tricky subject. New pinned chat. What does that mean? You can now pin a message to the top of your live chat for viewers to read. Click any message to pin it. Use the options menu to unpin. Are they fucking listening to us? How did that just pop up like that? And we were just talking about it. Okay, a whole bunch of stuff just popped up. Okay, so maybe I can post a link in YouTube. Okay, so that was YouTube. I think YouTube was listening in on us, because why did that just pop up all of a sudden? Okay, and now I can post that to the top. Okay, so at the top on YouTube, you should be able to go to the StreamYard link to join the live. I don't know how to do it for StreamYard, though. There's a new way to do it for StreamYard. But what were we talking? What was the topic? Oh, I personally, I don't like bashing other people's dogs. And the reason I don't like bashing other people's dogs is when we first got into this game, people were hitting us hard. I mean, the community was after us. There's a lot of people we're cool with now that weren't saying anything back then. There's some people we play cool with now that were talking big shit back then. People had an issue with the fact of us pushing the whole drive the bully concept, breeding for temperament. Everybody was claiming they were breeding for temperament. And when we first got involved with bullies, my question was always, okay, well, when you say that, what do you mean? Because I know what it means when I say it. So what do you mean when you say it? Well, people were getting offended by that. People started then coming at us when we got King and we started showing King. We never really put King out there for stud, but we did, post pictures of King, and they couldn't wait for the opportunity to talk trash about him. First, everybody said we were lying about his size and everything like that. Then every now and then they come across a picture where they realize he wasn't, or someone would come across King because my cousin would be taking him places, and other bully breeders would come across King at the vet or doing AIs or whatever it was. And then the word got out, no, this dog is one of the biggest in the XL game, and he's as big as they say he is. So then all of a sudden the bashing King fell away. Me, I'm cool with you bashing the dog that I have that I'm not selling to you. And I have a problem bashing people's dogs when you don't know what it is they plan on going to. I personally think if somebody's back posting a dog, and I don't know, how do you guys feel? I'm not comfortable with bashing a dog that's being posted. Now, if that person decides to talk trash to me, now you opened up the game for it. But I just feel you don't know what the person's plans are with that dog. So how do you really speak on a dog and you don't know what their plans are? There are dogs in the community that I feel are disgusting. But people like those dogs for whatever reasons. I feel is if I'm going to get involved with this breed, then I'm willing to step up and not necessarily speak against that dog out loud on Facebook, but I will talk about dogs like that dog, if that makes any sense. There are dogs that I see that there's one dog in particular that I'm thinking of. Every time you see him, he's panting. If every time I see you, you're panting, every picture of you is with your tongue out your mouth, there's something wrong. One, it's a sign of stupidity. And two, it's a sign of lack of health. You're looking at a dog that's going to croak right around 4 to 6 years old. Might make it to 8. These dogs should all be able to make it beyond 8 years old. You start getting to a dog's king size, then I would say 8-figure average Great Dane, they say it's 10 years, but they live more. But even a dog king size, you should be able to get 10 years. We should be able to get 10 years out of King, regardless, because he's still not that tall. So when you get these dogs and their tongue is constantly hanging out their mouth, there's going to be an issue there, that the average day is stressed for this dog and its body. Because we have our own group, the Giant XL American Bully Breed Group, there are dogs that I do not allow to get posted in that group. There are breeders that cannot stand me because I won't allow their dogs to be posted in our group. But I just feel we're doing an injustice to breeders. Yeah, there are people who just don't know anything about dogs and are willing to, prop up those dogs and give them a shout out and promote those dogs and buy dogs off of those dogs and breed to those dogs. I just have an issue with that because to me, you don't have to go to something that is dumb and has a short lifespan to get bone or a big head or a certain color you're looking for. And unfortunately, the bully community gets caught up into that. And we also, nobody wants to admit it, but we have a lot of fur moms in the bully community. And I'm talking mostly about the guys. That they see a dog and they think this look is cute and this look is a train wreck. But in their interpretation of dogs and a history of maybe with bulldogs, I don't know, they think it's cute. And I come more from a background to where I'm more into what a dog can do than what it looks like. So I bring that into the bully game, and I bring that into our breeding. You know, temperament, ability. Uh, but there, like I said, there are people who can care less. If their dog sits on their couch, only eats raw, can't eat raw chicken, can't be on grass, has to stay on cement. They're satisfied with that. And there's people that don't know any better. So the most we can do is speak out. But then it goes to, you know, Ryan's comment. How do we speak out about it without being coming across as a hater? I think you just have to be respectful. I think if you see a dude posting his dog and he's saying, "This is my boy, look how he's grown," blah, 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 you know, I think if you're gonna knock the dog, if you're gonna say, "Hey, he's got a high rear," you need to be constructive. Give him props on something else, and then at the same time, speak what that dog needs to breed to. I'll give you a perfect example. I was it was a post made today about a person or a person who's popular in another community made a post today speaking about a specific word that he doesn't like, and he posted the definition of the word and stated he doesn't like that word. But so I kind of explained to him that one, the definition had in the definition had a lot of ors, but he's looking at those words as the word or as and. So if you break up the word, this is going to be crazy to explain without me. And I just don't want to give away too much because the person is extremely popular in another community. And I don't want him to think I'm hating on him. So I'm not going to put anything on blast. But so I broke down the definition as it was explained, as he posted it. And I said, if you look at it as the word or for what it is, then you realize this word that you don't like doesn't have the meaning that you're trying to push on the word. His response back to me was, well, I don't like that word. That's my opinion. We can agree to disagree. I'm not going back and forth with you. And whatever else he had to say. So I responded back, that's cool, respect. I'm not going back and forth either. I'm just explaining to you what the word is and how it's used and that it's all about context. And his response back to me was, what was it? Well, that's not how I feel. I feel blah, blah, blah. Well, see, I have a hard time with people in their expressions and their feelings and their emotions and people thinking that everything we feel, that's why we got bathrooms now where they're getting ready to let men go in, women's bathrooms as long as the man is dressed like a woman because of how he feels. But then luckily my daughter's older, but if I had a younger daughter one, she wouldn't be in there by herself. But let's say she's 13, two or three of her friends go in the girls' bathroom. It's just me. And I take them to the movies or something. They go in the girls' bathroom, and all of a sudden I see this dude with a beard and a wig and a dress on go walking in that bathroom. Well, I'm going in that bathroom too at that point. And if I can't catch him, if I could catch him, I'm going to let him know you can't go in there until my daughter and her friends come out. I don't care how he feels at that point. You get what I'm saying? And I think we get online. I think there's a certain amount of overemphasis on how people feel. And I'm not talking about how people, as far as hurt feelings, as far as the topic, but as far as how people feel, as far as their emotions, how they feel, how they're made to feel that day or during that moment. I think we put weight. And when it comes to these dogs, now the example I gave earlier was just an example of a word. But let's say we were talking about dogs and his response was, this is how I feel. I don't care. This is what I prefer. But meanwhile, you're breeding a dog that's less healthy, or you're promoting a dog that's less healthy, or has major flaws. There is a part of us that this whole online thing, because anybody's able to express themselves, it's easy to get caught up with how we feel. My generation is easy to ignore how we feel because we didn't have no choice. Now people are able to tell how they feel and what they think. If they're 100% wrong, that's okay, but at least I got to express myself. It's just a different world now. So I think, you do have to play a balance with it. I think you do have to, if you're going to critique somebody's dog, my first question would be, what do you plan on breeding that dog to? So let's say, you know, if you're studying it, you're promoting for stud. Are you looking for certain type of females, or are you willing to breed to any female? I think questions put the spotlight on people, and they also help educate those who are observing this person and the questions that are being asked. So I think that's kind of the best way to go about it. You also have an inbox. There's nothing wrong with hitting people on their inbox saying, hey, you posted your dog today. Good looking dog, but make sure he's got a high rear. He's got weak pasterns. He's got an underbite. He's got whatever he's got. He's got a wing coming out the back. Make sure you breed it to dogs that don't have high rears, a wing growing on the back, weak pasterns, an underbite. I think there's constructive criticism that you have to do. We, for instance, there were a lot of females we wouldn't let King breed to. We know one person that paid their stud fee. We have another person that pays stud fee. Other than that, we turned down a lot of people. And that's not to knock those people that wanted to breed to King, but we just didn't feel, we didn't want to breed. He's a tall dog, but he gets away with it because he's wide and he's thick bone. We didn't want to breed him to narrow dogs, you know, and yes, it will help fix your dogs, but I personally think you're better off going to one of King's sons than you are to King directly. You know, so people are going to have to be picky, and you're going to come across people who aren't picky. They're just in it for the money. We do need a way of putting those people on blast. But I personally feel that education is the best thing. Like I said, we try to limit the people in the group. There's nothing you can do with somebody, though, to Ryan Sterling. There's nothing you can do that's going to guarantee you that if you're criticizing or critiquing something, you're not going to get called a hater. That's just a popular word to use out there on people. So chances are you're going to get called it. As far as the community not saying anything, then yeah, it's just as bad as bad breeding. So I agree with them 100% on that. Let me go to the topics and see what we got out there. Tuxedo Pitbull said he's used a new stock for sunburns. I think it works. I knew it was for allergy issues. I never knew. Anytime my dogs got scars from injuries or cuts and gashes from injuries, I always went to Neosporin, pack it with clean it out, pack it with Neosporin, and I would stitch them. I don't know that new stock is good for being that far inside of a cut, but it does say it is good for scratches, scars, and things like that. So I think for minor things, even sunburns, it probably does work. Now the smell of new stock is strong. Keep your dog outside. If you have an inside dog and you use new stock, let them run around outside for a minute before you bring it inside and it's jumping and getting that smell on your couch and everything, because it is a strong smell. Let's see. And I think the smell is due to never looked at the ingredient on it. I think the smell might be due to the charcoal that's used, which is also good for fur and coat issues. Let's see. We got, oh, hold on. Spirit said Epsom salt and pool also, yes. Keeps mosquitoes away also. I didn't know that. That I didn't know. Let's see. Brad's in here from Calgary, Canada. Welcome. Thanks for joining in. He said, I have a question about premature breeding. My cuz has let his 6-month-old doodle get pregnant, and he is being ignorant when I try to explain the dangers. Can you help shed light? The main thing about breeding a dog too early, first heat, 6 months old is way too early, is the size of the hips. The hip development of the dog is usually not prepared for that dog to be able to push those pups out. If you're doing C-sections, that eliminates that problem. The next problem would then be, and we talked about this last week, the next problem would be your dog is 6 months old. Your dog is doing a lot of growing and is right now hitting an extreme growing spurt. So if you're breeding that dog at 6 months old, And then all of a sudden, at about 30 days into the pregnancy, those pups start to drain the female. Then the female has the pups, and now all of a sudden, those pups are nursing from her for the next 4 weeks, so for another month. So you figure there's going to be about a 2-month period where those pups are going to be taking from that female the nutrients that she needs for her own growth because of her being so young. What your cousin's going to have to do, if hopefully this was an accident, but what he's definitely going to have to do, I would say at 6 months, I probably would have. I've never heard of a vet abortion. I'm assuming vets do it, but I would definitely have looked into that. But he's definitely going to have to be aware to balance her minerals and nutrients along with her protein without overdoing it, along with calcium, because those pups are going to be taking milk from her, vitamin C. He's going to have to learn to make sure that he is doing that now, increasing those things now while she's pregnant, through the pregnancy, while she's whelping those pups, if he chooses to. If I was him, I would take the pups off of her immediately. I wouldn't even let them whelp from her. And he needs to feed those pups his own and then let her go back to being a puppy. But yeah, allowing a 6-month-old dog to get pregnant is crazy. So like I said, I hope he did that on accident. Can he bounce her back from it? Yes, he's got to make up for the nutrients that the pups are draining from the dog. Should she have those puppies naturally? I would say no, because her hips are not developed. Are there other issues with her breeding that early? Really, there isn't. It's mental maturity, hip maturity, and then being able to bounce her back, because there's a lot of growth she's going to miss out on by those pups draining her. But you'll get people that talk about, well, there's certain hormones that kick in. Bullshit. Tell them to name you the hormone, and you'll never have them name that hormone, because every hormone has a different name. They'll never name it. Dogs or animals do breed in the wild off first heat, and it's perfectly fine for them. People like to compare it to wolves. Wolves don't breed on first heat. They don't breed typically on second heat. Only the dominant female breeds. So that's a whole nother topic that we can't compare dogs to. Coyotes can get away with it a little bit more. You tend to have females that do range a little further, might meet up with a male on her first heat. But even on a first heat, I don't believe coyotes even allow it. Fox does not hang in a pack. When you get to, foxes, they do breed on first heat. If a male comes across them, and they're perfectly fine. The main problem with first heat is in these dogs, like a large dog, like a Labradoodle, is going to be where's their hip development at, and do they have the hip spread to be able to give birth to those pups naturally, because you're looking at pretty large pups. But definitely a bad idea. If it's an accident, he can definitely bounce the dog back from it, and the dog will be all right. Travis said, "Hey, Spirit Rider, by using." Okay, so Travis had a question for Betsy as far as using the salt, the issue taking in too much salt. With Epsom salt, there shouldn't. If you follow the directions, there shouldn't be an issue. And you got to remember, you're not letting your dog be in there too long. So your dog should be fine using Epsom salt, but he shouldn't be intaking. He shouldn't be licking it or anything like that. Let's see. Castro said, "I appreciate the info you give out. You and QB and K have taught me a lot. Good looking out. I love doing the lives with Raul on Mondays. We get on there, we clown, we spread information, and we have a good time. So, but thanks for tuning in. Let's see what else. What was that topic? So yeah, the calling bad breeders out is tricky. It's a lot of people that have the urge. I personally think you are better off speaking on styles of breeders or types of breeders and types of dogs rather than individuals. Because again, you don't know what that person plans on doing with the dog in front of them. As far as calling out a bad breeder, like doing bad business, I think they do need to be called out. You get breeders that are ripping people off, stealing deposits, things like that. I do think they need to be called out. A lot of people get intimidated. They don't say anything. We had a breeder in Romania that stole a deposit from us. And in trying to track him down in Romania is actually how we found the breeder that we got Cardi Bull from. I get it. A lot of the people in the bully game, I don't know how you would say it, kind of come across, I guess, street smart or tough guys or whatever you want to call it. I just look at it like if somebody steals your money, they steal your money. And if they're a crook or a thief, it needs to be known in the community. I don't have a problem with anybody I call out on anything, seeing me anywhere and having whatever issues they have. I think those types of people need to be called out because I wouldn't let you steal from me in person. So why would I let you steal from me through Facebook? And then I'm not going to say anything because I'm scared to run into you at a dog show or something like that. Anybody that's doing bad business, that's just an actual crook, they need to be called out. You still need to go to, and this goes for dudes, females, this goes for everybody, on vice versa, whether you're the person that got ripped off or you're the person that's doing the ripped off. You need to call them out. They need to be called out, and you need to go ahead and participate in the community as you planned on. Don't let somebody stop you from going to dog shows because you had to call them out for stealing money from you. That's on them. And typically, people that know they're in the wrong like that stop showing up to dog shows and things like that. And they'll have other excuses for not showing up, but those types of people typically don't show up. Here's the only thing when it comes to bad business. You got to make sure that it was actually bad business. I see a lot of people getting blamed for bad business, and really it's just misunderstandings and people coming in new, not knowing how things operate. So make sure you educate yourself. Make sure you're clear. Don't hesitate to ask breeders, if this happens, then what? If this happens, then what? If that happens, then what then? You know what I mean? Don't hesitate to do that. But never let somebody rip you off. Ever, 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 ever. Average one of us has kids watching, and that's kind of my thing. I can't have you rip me off, talk crazy to me on Facebook, things like, well, you got to talk crazy to me in the group. Any outside of the group, no, you can't talk crazy to me. And then I've got sons. I've got a daughter. One day I'm going to have grandkids. And you can't disrespect me, then expect to see me and get away with disrespect. That's just not going to happen. And, you got to think about your kids who are watching you. Do you want your kids knowing mom or dad got ripped off by this person and they didn't say anything? It needs to be put out there. But make sure if it's bad business that you're clear, that it's 100% this person ripped you off and is trying to rip you off. It's not just a dispute, because there are a lot of breeders that get called out for bad business, and it really wasn't bad business. It was a misunderstanding. Let's see. Dom said, have you ever heard of or tried loyal dog food? No, I have not. I'm not big on switching kibbles. I am a big Purina 1 and a big pedigree person, regular yellow bag pedigree. And if a dog doesn't do well on pedigree, then I'll move him to Purina 1. If a dog doesn't do well on Purina 1, it almost has to go. I don't like dogs that have issues with dog food. And it definitely won't be bred. But that's just me. So whatever dog food you're used to that you grew up with, your bully should still be able to eat that food. And but I've never tried loyal dog food, so I can't give an opinion on that. That you say, Ashley, I have to stop them at first, then they get used to it. Have a fresh sitting right there. I think you're talking about the Epsom salt. They use salt water for dock diving, great for their coat. Yes, salt water is great for your dog's coat. We had a female that we used to take to the beach a lot. And every now and then she would get especially little cuts on her because I would take her running and, she'd get into it, raccoons, things like that. They would get into it with coyotes whenever I would run her at the fields. And when she would go to the beach, it seemed like it healed her skin faster, that salt water. So that salt water is very good. And then Epsom salt is even better because it's a cleaner water than your average beach. Let's see. What else do we got here? KJ Johnson said, how's Gage coming along? See him on your IG a while back. Was a beast at 9 months. Gage is definitely a beast. We decided what's best for the program is to run with Aziz. We just need to get more pictures of Aziz. Luckily, Gage's owner takes a lot of pictures with him, but Gage isn't. Gage won't be used for breeding. Aziz will definitely be used for breeding. The whole purpose in breeding King and Cardi Bull, Aziz fulfilled that whole look. His temperament, his size. He's a thicker bone, wider dog than Gage, but he's the one that looks more like Cardi Bull with clipped ears if you look at him. He's got a real intense eyes, but I love his temperament. He is actually going to be the stud that we run with. We have not decided if we're going to stud him out, but he is definitely, Aziz is the next phase of our program. Gage, there's just some little flaws that we felt need to be cleaned up, and that's why we aren't going to be using him for that. But as far as a pet, Gage is a great pet. Breeding stock, I'd say he's almost breeding stock. Just that he's got two brothers that came out exactly what we were looking for with the correct structure that we were looking for, and they maintained that without getting too tall. That was one of the things with Gage is he got a little too tall like King, but so far doesn't seem to carry the height is because King's tall and wide. Gage is tall. He's girthy, he's got a little bone, but I would like him to be a little wider. Aziz, Onyx is somewhat lean. Aziz came out thick, solid, and he doesn't have that height. But he's actually, Gage is doing very well. Travis said, oh my gosh, Daryl, I got that sardines intake from you. Yes, the sardines are very good. The worst thing about the sardines is when you open it up and it splashes on you. I hate that. I eat sardines, but still hate when it splashes on me. But other than that, sardines are great for your dog's immune system, way better than salmon. If you give them to your dog at least every other day, you'll see wonders work. The other thing with the sardines, make sure you get them in water. You get the natural fish oils, which is good for your dog's coat. Derek said, I'm trying to learn all I can about bullies before I get one. That way I have all the knowledge I can about the breed. You know what? We got involved in the bully community, I would say, for about a year before we pulled the trigger on King. So the first thing that we did was I created a page strictly for getting involved in the bully community. We started getting into groups, and we sat back and watched the groups for about a year without getting involved, and just kind of looking, learning. We didn't ask questions. Then we pulled the trigger on King. Once we pulled the trigger on King, we started getting involved in the groups. Actually, we still might have waited till he was about 6 months old. And then we started getting involved in the groups and participating in the groups and went from there. But yeah, the best thing you could do, I would say, honestly, the main thing to watch out for with the bullies is making sure that you maintain that bone. A lot of things we talk about in the live, the correct temperament, the temperament that you want. Rarely does anybody want a vicious dog. So what are you looking for in the temperament, Derek? And then, watching that bone, make sure that the bully has that bone. Go to the standard. Now that the ABKC has the illustration, I don't know if it's on their website. I do know that it's in our group, Giant XL American Bully Group. You can type in there ABKC illustration and it will pop up. And it gives you a great look for what the bully should look like. But take your time. Look at your grand champions, UKC, ABKC. What is it you like about them? What is it you don't? And then go from there. And but educate yourself. I would say the main thing that plagues this breed is high rears, stiff stifles, weak pasterns. I would say those are the main things that when you do start getting the bone, those are the main things. And people like to try to ignore it. But those are going to be the things I think as the masses get hip to the breed, those are going to be the things that people are going to have to watch out for. Right now, you got a lot of people that don't care. They just want to make money off of it. As you start to get people who own a German Shepherd, they're not going to want to get a bully off you and this bully's rear is way up in the air. But their German Shepherd's perfectly level. They're going to start seeing those differences, and they're going to start seeing other bullies that don't have those issues. So the best thing to do is get in the game even or ahead. Don't get in the game behind, and make sure you're selective. Go for temperament first. I promise you. Temperament and drive cleans up a lot of issues in structure of dogs, because a lot of times dogs that can't do something, because they don't. And it's a lot of times their temperament. Dogs that have a good temperament at 3-4 years old typically are going to have a structure that you're looking for. They may, of course, they're going to have some flaws, but go for temperament. Go for dogs that are energetic, not lazy, boned up, proper headpiece, and then watch for flaws. Watch for those flaws that are popular within the community, and start training yourself to spot them in people's pictures. Also, start training yourself to spot pictures that are made to hide those flaws, because that's another thing in the community. Let's see. Travis Franklin said, Daryl, I have you to thank for bringing the sardines to my attention. My dogs love them. My dogs love them. I just have my old man, when he gets sardines, the first thing he tries to do is go to the carpet and wipe his face. So when the other dogs don't do that. They wait to go outside, and then they'll see him rubbing their face in the grass. He loves to try to wipe his face on the carpet. So I have to. He's always, as soon as he finishes eating, he knows I'm letting him out. But yeah, the sardines are great for the dogs. They like them. It's good for them. They're great. Tuxedo Pitbull said, "Hey man, I have to have a dog that can work. I have one pit and one bully. I'm training for service dogs." There you go. And let's see, what other topic do we have tonight? What does it take to make a breed? And is the American Bully a breed or a concept? I saw a post earlier where that came up. I also saw Fred Duran went live did a short live earlier today talking about it, the dogs being a breed. And is this a breed or is it just a concept? And I think we all kind of have to really ask ourselves that. When it comes to creating a breed, when it comes to creating a bloodline, it's the same concept. A bloodline is the same thing as creating a breed. It's just you're creating your bloodline within a breed. So how do you create a breed? To create a breed, you have to take 2 or more dogs of different breeds. So you need 2 or more different breeds. So like a Labradoodle, Labrador, and Poodle. Then you have to line breed and inbreed that creation, or that what would you say, those 2 breeds, to the point that they develop their own look and their own temperament. And then at that, which usually takes about 5 generations. And actually, I take that back. At its best, is going to take about 5 generations. Because in order to create a breed, what you have to do is it's going to take you about 5 generations to line breed and inbreed, lock it in, so that way, if you took whatever breeds you created to a German Shepherd, it throws its look just as equally as the German Shepherd does. So that's how you create a breed. 2 or more breeds crossed together, line bred, inbred, to the point that they develop their own look and their own temperament away from the breeds that were used. So we know with the Labradoodle, you're looking at 2 breeds. We know with the Bull Terrier, there was the cross of Bulldogs and Terriers. The Staffordshire was a cross of Bulldogs and Terriers. When you get to America, you get the Pit Bull. How did the Staffordshire Bull Terrier go to become taller and leaner in the Pit Bull? Well, we know that they were crossing that Pit Bull with various hounds and then bringing it back, especially for stamina, and then bringing it back to the game dogs. The Dogo Argentino, they say, has around 10 different breeds in it. So in order to create the Dogo Argentino, they had to take all those breeds, breed them together, and then bam, all of a sudden they've got one dog that contains at least 5 of these breeds, and another dog that contains at least 5 of these breeds, and then they're bringing those 2 dogs together. Now you've just created a litter that contains all 10 breeds that were used. Now you start your line breeding and your inbreeding to create your breed. So in order to create a breed, you got to get all the breeds in there. And then once all the breeds you use are in there, you start line breeding and inbreeding for about 5 generations. And now you've established a breed. Before we got into bullies, my cousin talked me out of it. I was getting ready to create my own small to medium size breed. And I hadn't really focused on the name yet. I had like 3 or 4 different names, but I wanted to take the Beagle, the Patterdale, the Italian Greyhound, and the Staffordshire Bull Terrier. Bring the 4 together and create my own little medium to small size hunting breed. But that breed doesn't start until you get all the dogs in there. So here's when it comes to the American Bully. Is it a breed? We know some of these dogs, we can pretty much say that all these dogs have Amstaff in them. We can pretty much say a great majority of them have American Bulldog in them. We know there's various Mastiffs. We know there's various other Bulldog breeds, from the English to the Oldie to the Alapaha for the Merles. So we know this exists. You know what I'm saying? But we know with the tricolored dogs, there's some of those that have maintained it for generations and years. We know that there were tricolored mixed bred dogs. Probably got it from some Rottweiler. Very few of the tricolored dogs are going to come from black and tan pit bulls. So, but then you also have and the English bulldogs, So when it comes to all this, do we have a breed? And I'm going to admit, I don't really know the answer to that question. I would say we definitely have a concept. We are definitely coming up on a look, I think. People might want to say, okay, well, the show dogs have a more consistent look than the dogs on Facebook. I would say that's somewhat true. But those show dogs have the same lineage as the dogs on Facebook. The dogs on Facebook, it's their brothers and sisters that are in the show ring. Their dads and it's their family members that are in the show ring. Do we have a breed? Some people say we have a breed, yes, because we have a registry. That's bullshit. Registries don't make breeds. Breeds make registries. When I planned on creating my own breed, I didn't need a registry to create my own breed. All I needed was me, the dogs that I needed, make sure they perform, that I'm breeding the best performers to the best performers, and then go out on the street and tell people, this is my breed I created. If you like hunting, here you go. So it has nothing to do with the registries. I don't know. It's an interesting question. Do we have a breed when it comes to American bullies? We know there's English Bulldog in the pockets. Do all of them have English Bulldog in them? Because if we're calling all of them if we're calling all of them pockets, and they don't all have English Bulldog in them, then it's a concept. There's a dog, China Boy, who is breeding heavy now to pockets. China Boy is obviously in the last 2 generations has some Bulldog or Frenchie or something in there. So if you're bringing these things back into it, do you have a breed? Let's move on to the standard. The standard, we know that you do get extreme dogs brought into the standard that have some oldie or some English Bulldog in it. Is that a breed? We also know when it comes to the standard that there are XLs that are bred to standards and give offsprings of standards. And those XLs have, if it has Cane Corso in it, but is bred to a standard, and that standard doesn't have no Cane Corso in it, now you just brought this new blood in here, even though that Cane Corso is, back. Do we have a breed? Or are we all still in a development stage of a concept? I would like to say we have a breed. Let me see you. Hold on. Let me see if you guys responded to that at all. Nah, sure. I do feel, I'm going to answer this and then we're going to get into the comments. I feel we do have a breed due to the fact that though we may not know what mastiffs are in these dogs, we do know that mastiff is in there. Though we may not know what bulldogs were added into these dogs, we do know that bulldogs are in there. The only thing we know consistently, that we know without a doubt, with every single one of these dogs, we know American Staffordshires in 99.9% of these dogs. We know American Bulldogs in a lot of these dogs. From there, it goes anywhere. I think we do have a breed because we know Amstaff to bulldog type to bull bred dogs and to mastiff bred dogs is how we come up with this breed. So I would say we have a breed. Some people would say if you don't know the specific breeds, then it's not a breed. So it just depends on how you look at it. Let's see here. And we got let's see, Tuxedo said hopes to have a dog that can work. Exactly. Travis said, yes, ma'am, or sir. Thanks for the information. Travis, that is Spirit Rider is Betsy. So she was the one that was giving you the information on that. Rick Libre said, can you guess who's the man in my thumbnails schooling me? Hold on, I can't even see him. Hold on real quick. I can't tell. Who is it? I see a beard, so I want to say Fred, but he looks bigger than Fred. So I can't tell. Let me know. Let's see. Let's see. That was very blah blah blah. Tuxedo said she's a lady. Yeah, exactly. Betsy said female. Sorry, was there you go. Was untying a knot. Betsy said I'm a, oh yeah. Betsy is, yeah. Betsy, you do kind of have that hippie chick vibe to you. Travis said, Daryl, they trying to listen in on all our conversations, bro. Exactly. Let's see. Any other questions or comments? Daryl, does that include the APBT with the constant panting? You're not gonna find a pit bull with constant panting. And when I say constant panting, what I mean is these guys are, every picture, every video, the dog, you can tell, was just chilling in the kennel. And they call the dog, it gets up and is panting. It walks over to them and it's automatically panting. The dog's on the couch panting. American Pit Bull Terrier, Pit Bull, you got to work them a little bit, exercise them, get them excited to pant. A lot of these dogs are panting when it comes to the bully community, especially these extreme dogs, because they're in some sort of pain that the owner does not recognize, or they're built in a manner that for them to do what any other dog can walk up and do, it puts a lot of pressure on their bones, their muscles, their heart, their veins, and a lot of breeders are just unwilling to acknowledge that. And so therefore, when their dog is panting, the breeder likes to pretend they're happy. Hey, good boy. Nah, it's not a good boy. That's a boy that's stressed out and he's in pain. And he's dealing with things that he can't explain to you because you breed terrible dogs. And you have people that are willing to buy these terrible dogs. But that's when you get a lot of panting from a dog for no reason. So that's what I mean when you get panting for no reason. When the average pit bull, you take a picture of it, you might get him panting, you might get him with his mouth closed. There are bullies in this community that there's no such thing as them having their mouth closed, especially in a video. You can see videos of Sadie where her mouth is closed. She's running around sniffing, looking. You know, if a dog is panting, the other thing that it kills intelligence because the dog is not using its nose. But he's constantly panting, and he's not using it. All right, I'm back. I don't know why my phone does that. Like after an hour or so, it drops you. Damn, matter of fact. Okay, so we're in an hour and 38 minutes. But that's what I mean by panting. I'm not talking about panting from being tired. I'm talking about panting because the dog is stressed. And you know, breeders pretend that panting is them looking happy, and a lot of times it's not. And you're typically going to get that with your extreme dogs, your dogs that are overly extreme. Let's see. Tuxedo said, I have a pit bull that when her mom had a litter, she would steal a pup and hide and nurse it. The newer, oh, she never had a litter of her own at that point, but she had milk. That's weird. I know there's sometimes dogs go through false pregnancies, and if she does go through, she will still have those instincts. So maybe she was going through a false pregnancy at the time, which is very true which could be because if her mom was in heat, that triggered her to go into heat. She may have gone through a false pregnancy at the time. The mom has her litter, and then she's going in stealing puppies, and she's nursing those puppies. That's probably what that was. That is dope to hear, though, because it shows you how strong instincts are. Because I've never heard of a dog doing that. Let's see. Travis said, Daryl, I agree. Make a positive comment until it's time to state your opinion. That's how I look at it when it comes to, you know, other people's dogs. Because here's the thing. I have seen people. There was one time that was bad. It was a lady. She posted. Thank God it wasn't in our group. But she posted in another large group. And you could tell she didn't have a lot of friends in the bully community. You could tell she had just gotten a bully. She wanted to post them in the group, and they ripped her. That lady had no intentions on ever breeding. That was just her pet that she loved. And, I mean, they let her have it. And eventually a bunch of us kind of realized that, okay, once you went through the comments, you realized that she said she never planned on breeding. But she shouldn't have never had to say that. You know, if you give her advice about breeding, then she could just say, I don't need your advice. I don't plan on breeding. And that's that. But, I mean, they ripped that lady bad to the point where the group finally deleted her post, which I know makes the group feel bad because you don't want to delete the dog that she was proud of. You know what I mean? So that's why I say I think we have to be careful. I don't think we should be overconfident. I think online you should conduct yourself with people the same way you would conduct yourself with them in person. I went to a dog show. I saw some horrible dogs there. I just kept walking. Um, I didn't see them getting a whole lot of props and a whole lot of you know it wasn't like they were promoting in the same manner that you would on Facebook. So I think it's a balance. I think we have to be respectful, but I think it's about, you know, educating them. Dom said, you and Terrell Hall of Fame got to do a live together. Will be the realest ever. You know what? Terrell Quincy. I know Terrell catches a lot of flack from the bully community. And I pride myself in not getting into people's histories, backgrounds, and details. And because you just never know who's telling the truth in this game. Everything that I've seen of Terrell, everything I've seen Terrell say, I know he has his issues with the ABKC and the way things are done. But I got a lot of respect for Terrell. And I do also respect his history in the dogs that he's had and that he's champed out and has put out there. I also like the fact that Terrell does not shy away from calling dogs out. He will and calling out the things that people do in the community that, you know, when it comes to these dogs that are foul. But yeah, I have a lot of respect for Terrell. And he's a person that's younger than me, and you don't see that a lot of times. So I think he's a good dude. Like I said, I know some people have their issues with him for various reasons whatsoever. People get a kick out of talking trash to him, but that's just our community. But I would love to do a live with Terrell. I think it will be a good one. Betsy said, I want a male pup in a raffle. I've decided not to accept due to how it might affect Lincoln. Thoughts? Worried about dominant issues later. Don't want to wreck my boy. That's a decision you got to make, because I won't bring a male into our house. Would I bring due to Floyd? Floyd has always been the king of the house. He's always been the only male here. Would I bring him in to would I bring a pup male in now that Floyd is old? That I would try maybe, but I would never bring like a male in that's, you know, an adult male in, because I want him to be the king of the castle till he's done. Okay, hold up. WKR is back.
Hey, what's
What's
going
up,
on?
brother?
What's up,
What's
baby?
going on?
I got a quick question for you. My female was derived from a standard female and a pocket male. So how will I determine what would she turn out to be? I mean, is she going to be like a pocket? I mean, what age could I start measuring her? You know,
I want
far
to say
as
they're looking at. I want to say they're looking at 1 year. When the dog hits a
okay,
year, measure it. Pocket is 14 to 17 inches. Standard is 17 to 20 inches, and then XL is 20 to 23 inches. So right
so you
now, there's no real separation between them. So I will wait till it turns out to be about a year old. Now, let's
okay?
say, how old is she?
She's 4 months. She'll be 5 months, like in about 2 weeks. She'll be 5 in 2 weeks.
Okay, so if she hits 6 months and she's already over 17 inches, then you know you're dealing with a standard. You know what I'm saying? So
Okay.
you might get to see that earlier than I know with the XLs, they tell you if you're not sure, wait till they're a year. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But so you should get signs of it pretty soon. You should. But I would start measuring. If she's about to turn 6 months, I say go ahead and measure. And you want to measure from the toes to the withers, right at the
All
shoulder.
right.
And
Okay.
then yeah, you know, if she's over that 17 inches, then bam, she's gonna be a standard.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and that's
Definitely.
how you'll
Thank.
know.
Okay. I'm. I'm just. I'm clicking onto your
No
line.
problem. Hey, anytime, bro. Anytime. Thanks for
Hey.
joining in, man.
Hey. No
Good
doubt,
seeing you.
man. No
All
doubt.
right.
Okay. Thank you.
Let so let's see. So yeah, you guys, I'm not sure with the pocket. That was actually a good question. With the pockets and the standards, I'm assuming it's probably kind of the same thing with the XLs where they tell you wait a year. But yeah, once you measure them at a year, you should know what you get. Some of these dogs are gonna let you know what you get early. But at least with the pockets, you can start early and measure them. You know, as soon as your dog gets over 17 inches, that you're dealing with a standard. And with a standard, you know, as soon as your dog gets over 20 inches, you're dealing with an XL. So that will pretty much kind of help you try to get an idea of what you have early. But Betsy, yeah, I don't blame you. I will never bring a male, especially an older male. I won't bring anything, definitely won't bring anything over 6 months in here while I have Floyd, due to the fact he has always been the king of this castle for 14 years. There's never been another male here. So now, take that back. Every now and then we do bring King out, but King doesn't stay here. And Floyd goes crazy because he could smell him in the yard somewhere, but I will not let Floyd ever see King. He'll never see King here at his house. Every now and then we have a breeding to do. I bring King out here. He stays with us for a week. And but for that week, Floyd never sees him. He smells him through the yard, can probably smell him somewhere in the house, but he'll never see him. And then when King's gone, he's gone. Um, let's see. Rick said, and Andre BGK. You know what? Here on YouTube, we have the marketing series. The marketing series where we talked about doing pictures of your dogs, Facebook, Instagram, how to grow things. And Andre did the live with me. So we had it was either 4 or 5 part marketing series. You can find it on our YouTube page, the Thrower Bullies YouTube page. And it was me, Andrea BGK, and Robert. But you know what? Doing a live with Andre strictly on dogs is a great idea because I like his dogs. And Andre's blood is heavy in Cardi Bull, right around like her, I want to say it's right around her 4th generation and on. A lot of Andre's blood, especially that hit BGK Europe, is heavy in her bull. So, shout out to Andre. That's definitely somebody I respect in this game. Super cool cat too. Ray Garcia said, "What are your thoughts on studs? Like how many litters and how do you think they should be to show they produce? And how much is the stud actually responsible for and compared to the dame?" We kind of talked about that last week when we talked about the black hole theory in breeding. Um, I think once a stud hits a year old, if you are confident with him and you know his bloodline, you're his owner. I don't have a problem. I don't see a problem with, putting him out there to breed. You have a decent idea of his structure. Putting him out to stud the dogs. If I was somebody looking for a stud, I probably wouldn't breed to a stud until he was 2 or 3 years old. And probably closer to 3, especially since we're dealing with XLs. And like King didn't stop growing until he was about 3. So I probably wouldn't deal with a stud as an XL, a pocket, maybe, earlier, a year, 2 years. I don't think I would breed to any stud until they're at least 2 years old. And XL is pushing closer to 3. And until I've seen at least one other litter, 1 to 2 other litters. I think if he's bred to 1 other litter and I can get a look at that female, I can get an idea of what he's doing and not doing. But you said, what are your thoughts on studs? Like how many litters and how old do you think they should be to show they produce? Okay, so if a stud can pull off 3 litters and throw his look, and I think that's what people will get mixed up on. If he can throw his look and his temperament on 3 litters, I say he's a producer. Those 3 litters, you want to know what those females look like. They need to have a variation of look in those females. But if he can throw his look on those females, and you can, see those litters that he's throwing his look, on, at least close to at least half of the puppies, 3 different females, then that means he's a producer. You know what I mean? Because the female can have 6 pups and he throws his look on 3 of them. But let's say she had 2 to 3 more litters by him. Who's to say on the next litter he didn't throw more than half? You know what I'm saying? So I look at a male, if he can throw at least close to half of his look in that, if he can throw half his look in that litter, he's probably gonna be a producer. And if he's throwing at least half his look in multiple litters, then you got a producer. Because some of these females, especially when it comes to bull-bred dogs, will dominate a male's genetics because we breed so many male features in these females. Your next question was, and how much is the stud actually responsible for corresponding to the dame? As far as science, the male contributes 50% of his genetics. The female contributes 50% of her genetics. But there's a monkey wrench thrown in there. The female throws 2 X chromosomes, or she contributes an X chromosome. Okay, let's look at it this way. For a female is 2 X chromosomes, a male is an XY chromosome. The Y chromosome does not carry as much genetic information as the X chromosome. So when you have a pup, or you breed your male to your female and they have a litter, the females are getting 50% of their traits from their mom, and they're getting 50% of their traits from their dad. 50% of their genetics from their mom because she's giving them an X chromosome, and they're getting 50% of the traits from their dad because he's giving them an X chromosome. The males are getting 50% of their traits from their mom because she's giving them an X chromosome, and they're getting less than 50% from the Y chromosome that makes them the male. because that Y chromosome carries very little genetic information compared to the X chromosome. And that genetic information is made up by the information that makes that boy be a boy. See what I'm saying? So your females are going to be random, 50-50 between male and female, but then they're going to become female. So they're not going to be large and have the bone and the muscle of the male. Your males are going to be 50% X chromosome from the female, and then they're going to get less from the males from their dad's Y chromosome. There's going to be less information on that Y chromosome than there is on their dad's Y chromosome than there is on their mom's X chromosome. What that does is keep the breed or the species true to what it is with the females, because males are expendable. They can go out, fight, and get themselves killed and things like that. So, and when it comes to pack animals, it's the females that are involved in the majority of the hunting, because typically there's only one male in the pack, and he's expendable. So he's just there to guard from other males and hope if there's a big battle between, you know, that and another group of wolves or hyenas and lions, whatever it is, that male's coming in there to do all the battle. He's made to be aggressive and made to take more risks. So that's what that Y chromosome is full of. It's not full of it's not full of as much genetic coding as the X chromosome. So yes, females have a stronger influence on the litter, because they're giving 50% of them to every single thing there, whereas the males are giving less of themselves to the male puppies, if that makes sense, because of the Y chromosome having less information. So your female is going to dominate your litter and has a better chance of dominating your litter. Now these things change when you're talking about line breeding and inbreeding, because now you're making your male's genetics stronger. And more able to push his own traits through that Y chromosome into those male puppies, and through that X chromosome into those female puppies. So, but the female, I would say, if you take two scatterbred dogs, the female is going to dominate the litter. And it's because of the way the X and Y chromosome are set up. Stephen Leduc said, what temperament do you breed for? We have a saying when we got into bullies. When we first got into bullies, there were a couple bullies that were popular because they had offspring that attacked people. There were a couple that were popular because they were dog aggressive. We have a thing with our bullies, and our basic thing is this. We want a dog that by the time that dog reaches 6 months old, it wants to do whatever it is you want to do. By the time that dog hits a year old, it becomes addicted to whatever it is you want to do. And by that time that dog hits a year and a half, it has perfected whatever it is that you want to do. The other thing that we believe in Thrower Bullies is that a dog that bites its owner is just as bad as a dog that won't bite to protect its owner. We consider them the same thing. And so what we are looking for is a dog that is, when it comes to temperament, is low rank driven, is low dominant driven, but is probably medium protective drive, medium protective drive, high pack drive, meaning it wants to be with the pack. It wants to do what pleases the pack, its owner. But we also want that dog to be protective. We do want a medium to high defensive drive, meaning that if something is, medium defensive drive, meaning that the dog is confident in who it is. But if a dog tries to dominate your dog that you got from us, any dog that we breed is not going to allow that. King is that way, and our females are guaranteed 100% that way. King is just a dog where he gets along with everything. King is cool with cats, and I'm serious when I say that. A stray cat can walk, he may not allow a cat in the yard, but if you walked into the yard with a cat and you put that cat down, King's not going to harm it. He'll walk up to it, and if the cat wants to play, King will play with it. Now, if the cat jumps the fence, that's a whole nother story. King is protective of his yard. He's protective of his family. But that was one of the things that made us really like King. I was questionable about it at first, but he's proven to be protective. So we want a dog that is protective of their home, of their property, not overly territorial, and at the same time is protective of their family and protective of themselves. They are willing to defend themselves all out, going all out to defend themselves. So like, for instance, Cardi Bull is a dominant female. So she can sit at the vet for hours. She can be at PetSmart. She can go anywhere she wants. We're not going to have any issues. She's not going to pay dogs any attention. Cardi Bull's issue is if a dog starts to pay her attention. She doesn't want anything to do with anybody's dog that does not live with me. They need to just do their thing. My Jack Russell was the exact same way. Would I take Cardi Bull to a dog park? She could probably do okay. More than likely, though, she's going to end up in a fight because she's not going to let anything dominate her. King, great at a dog park. Dog beach, dog park, he's great. But at the same time, I can sit at a vet in my seat with her sitting between my legs or to my side, and other dogs can walk past Cardi Bull and she's not going to pay them any attention. Now, let's say she's got an aggressive dog she comes across. If an aggressive dog tries to charge her, is pulling, trying to get at her, she won't bark and growl to get at them. She won't pull to get at them. She will just stand her ground. If they start to get within range, then yeah, she will try to hit them. So in our pups, what we've noticed from the 11, then the 4, from the 2 litters that we've had, what we've noticed is now the 1 litter was from King and Kinsey. The other litter was from Cardi and King. So far, that Cardi and King litter, all those pups go to dog parks, function very well. One of them goes so many places, it's ridiculous. But so far, they're all doing well at dog parks. So what we were aiming for, we got. They are also all very protective. Aziz is kind of the pinnacle of bringing it together. So now it's just a matter of kind of locking it in. Justice has the same, and so far all our females have an extremely similar temperament. So now it's just going to be locking it in. And because they're unrelated, we're taking matching traits, which will help us lock in traits. And that's one thing people forget is you don't have to always line breed and inbreed to match to lock in a trait. You can just get like traits from scatterbred dogs and lock that in because you're matching traits rather than blood. And so that's what we aim for with our dog. We wanted to create ours from scratch, but that's what we aim for with our temperament, and that's something our cousin and I wholeheartedly believe with this breed. Let's see. Dom said, heard that cod liver oil is also good for dogs. Very good for dogs. I don't use cod liver oil. I haven't had the need to. I think I would use it for emergencies if I saw a immune system issue, but cod liver oil is very good for dogs. I like the sardines because you're getting the oil from the water that the sardines is soaked in. You're also getting the natural fish oil that's in the fish, and then you're also getting the meat. You're also getting a little bit of bone, which is extremely soft and digestible in sardines. Let's see. Castor said, is line breeding and inbreeding the only way to achieve consistent temperament? No, you can match traits. So, for instance, but to match traits, you have to know the drives of the temperament you're dealing with. So, your dog's personality is his temperament. That temperament is made up of various drives. Those drives are made up of various thresholds. So, how would you say? So let's say my dog has a energetic temperament. Why do you say he's energetic? He likes to play. He's got a high play drive. Okay, so you say he's got a high play drive. Well, we know he's got a play drive, but what is the threshold that makes it high? What is he willing to do to play? How long is he willing to continue playing? That's what you're talking about when it comes to a threshold. So a dog with a high prey drive, P-R-E-Y, A dog with a high prey drive is going to do everything it can to get to that prey. A dog with a medium prey drive will say, there's no way I'm going to catch that, so I'll move on. A dog with a low prey drive is going to let the squirrels run in front of it and not do anything. High, medium, low, those are thresholds. Those thresholds make up drives. Each of those drives make up temperament of your dog. When you start learning how to test your dog for the different drives and the temperament of it, and puppies as they're young and going until they get old, so that you're also noticing what changes as they mature, then you can start breeding for things. So with us, things that were, so for instance, the prey drive Justice, we knew had a pretty high prey drive, but was well disciplined. So when we got Cardi Bull, I didn't get my hands on her till she was 4 months old, because she couldn't fly out here from Romania till she was 4 months old. So at 4 months old, I started pushing her, testing her on different things or different drives. What triggered her, what didn't trigger her. If it did trigger her, how long, what was she willing to do to get to it? What was she willing to do to stop it? Those different things. And we found that a lot of those triggers, drives, and thresholds were similar to Justice's. So Justice might be a medium to low, whereas Cardi might be a medium. Cardi might be a medium to high, where Justice was a high. Everything was similar. There was never a Cardi's low, Justice high. There was never, everything was similar, like right in the same bracket. So we knew we were matching traits by breeding the dogs. What you want your inbreeding and your line breedings for, you want your line breedings to perfect the traits, get it in the right place, whether it's the temperament or the structure, and then you do your inbreeding to lock it in. That's what you're in. You don't want to be fixing things on your inbreeding. Once you get your temperament exactly where you want through your line breedings, so you have your scatter breedings and you're trying to match traits that you want. You're breeding these dogs together. You're getting what you want, but there's things that need a little fine tuning. So you can do some inbreeding for that, or you might need to outcross again to get something in. But if you've got a yard of dogs, you got 4 or 5 dogs that you're going to in your yard, and they all have temperamental traits that you were looking for. Now you want to create what you're looking for by bringing those dogs together. Then you're going to do some line breeding to fine tune these. I want a little more prey drive in this dog, so I'm going to breed it to this dog that I have over here that had a higher prey drive. And even though they might be uncle and niece or grandfather, granddaughter, that's how you do your line breedings, to fine tune everything to get it where you want. Once you've gotten where you want, you do an inbreeding, and then you bounce and you do a full outcross or an extremely distant line breeding. Because that inbreeding is there to lock it in. So now you can breed that dog to dogs of the same trait and still get your dog's temperament, or you can breed that dog that's inbred to dogs that are scatterbred that you don't know nothing about and still get your temperament, because they're scatterbred and your dog is now inbred. So that's the way to look at that. Pick the right traits that you're looking for. Correct them, fix them with your line breedings. Then once you fix them and corrected them, everything's perfect. Temperament's perfect, structure's perfect. You can't find anything. If there's one small flaw, you're still good. Then that's when you do your inbreeding, because there is no perfect dog. But then that's when you do everything on the dog's perfect, but it has slightly weak pasterns. You might want to go and go ahead and do your inbreeding. And then you want to outcross to a dog that's got stronger pasterns, because your dogs are going to be able to pass all the traits you wanted to that scatterbred dog with stronger pasterns. If it's got Easty Westy, I wouldn't do an inbreeding. I would continue my line breedings to get rid of it. And if I can't, then do an outcross with your line breedings to fix the Easty Westy. Take that dog, and then you might want to go ahead and do an inbreeding. But even with Easty Westy, you can inbreed Easty Westy. The problem with that is you might lock that in and it shows up no matter what breedings you do during your outcross. And that's why some things you don't want to do it. Can it be done? Yes. But you might end up starting all over trying to fix that Easty Westy. Now all of a sudden it's taking you a couple generations. So if you got Eastie Westie, you want to fix that through scatterbred or non-related dogs, all your major flaws. Once you've gotten that fixed, now you want to fix your minor flaws through inbreeding, and then you want to lock it in through your breeding. Through your fix. Whoops, I said that backwards. Fix your flaws through line breeding, and then lock it in through inbreeding. Let's see. Freddie Farming said, how many litters would it take if you mix standard female to XL male for structure? How many litters would it take if you mix standard female to XL male? It depends on what you're trying to fix. Some breedings, there are some features that are recessive traits, some are dominant traits. Your recessive traits are going to be easier to fix in one breeding. Your dominant traits might take a couple. I would say when it comes to flaws, the average flaw you should be able to fix in 2 breedings. But when I say that, what I'm saying is you have a dog that's got a flaw you don't like, so you breed it to a dog that doesn't have that flaw. You create a litter of pups. Some of those pups have that flaw, some of them don't. So you take the pups that don't have that flaw, one of the pups that doesn't have that flaw, the best out of the pups that doesn't have that flaw, and then you're going to then take that pup and breed it to another dog down the line that doesn't have that flaw. And you should eliminate that flaw, but you got to make sure you never go back to anything that does have that flaw. That needs to be another breeder using your dogs to fix his dog. You don't ever want to bring that flaw back into your program, especially if you fixed it through line breeding or scatter breeding. Inbreeding, you might be able to get away with it. I wouldn't. And that's the thing to remember when it comes to, we're all doing selective breeding. So you have a litter of pups. Those flaws that you're looking to get rid of, you have to have the discipline to say, no matter what color I see in here, I'm strictly looking to get rid of this flaw. And so therefore, all these pups are going to pet homes. And all these pups that don't have this flaw, those are the ones I'm looking at for my, next breedings. And that's why it's hard to pick these dogs at only 8 weeks old, because a lot of them, they go through a lanky stage, or they go to a stage where their flaws start to show. If you're paying close attention, and the reason we keep our pups till 8 weeks old, we do our pickings at 8 weeks old. So normally you do your picks at 6 weeks old, and the pups 6 to 7 weeks old, and the pups are gone at 8 weeks. We do our picks at 8 weeks old. We let everybody know time to pick your pups, and then they leave at 10 weeks old. Because at 10 weeks old, from 8 to 10 weeks old, we're looking at those pups that got picked and kind of deciding to ourselves, we're going to need to keep in touch with this person, because we're going to want to watch this pup grow and see how he does. And that's what we use 8 to 10 weeks for. But from 6 to 8 weeks old, we are looking to pick our pups, for us to pick the pups, for people to come pick the pup. And then from 8 to 10 weeks old, we're looking at which pups that might leave us that we want to keep an eye on. Let's see. Freddie Farmer said trying to get 20 to 23-inch dogs. So if you're breeding a XL to a standard female, you're bringing an XL male to a standard female, depending on how tall your male is, you should be able to get it. A lot of the champion males are extremely short, so there is that chance that you breeding to a standard female, you might drop the size of the litter. But as long as you got an XL male, depending on his height, then you should have some XL pups in there to make sure you stick with. Travis, man, no problem, dude. I have no problem with it. And just so it's known, I enjoy doing these lives, and I'm about to enjoy more now that I can get you guys on. And what we'll probably do, I'm gonna wrap this one up. What we'll probably do is give everybody 3 to 5 minutes, to state what it is they want to state, ask what it is they want to ask, and go from there. KJ said, are the rumors true about the pup with the bigger, thicker tail usually become the biggest of the litter? Yes, usually are going to, well, as far as if you see a pup with the thick tail, especially right I mean thick, like right above that butthole. That thick tail is usually going to be your thicker pup. So that is something to watch out for. He is usually going to have thicker bone. He may not be the taller, but he is going to be a thicker pup. So that is something to look out for in your litters. Always watch that. What just happened? All right, Casper said, have you ever been concerned of your safety during stud session? No, before bullies, have bred some extremely aggressive dogs. Now you can buy a muzzle from anywhere. Back in the 90s, you couldn't just buy muzzles from anywhere. So we used to have a method that we did with a leash on aggressive males or aggressive females, where you kind of went around the muzzle, around the back of the head, around the muzzle again, and it kind of gave you the ability to control the mouth was kept short, and then you were able to hold the dog by the parts of the leash that you were holding. I think I could still do that leash wrap if I wanted, but you were able to use the leash like a muzzle, and it helped you keep control of the neck, the head, and then the leash itself kept the mouth closed. But I've dealt with a lot of aggressive dogs. I also deal with aggressive dogs as far as training, depending on the level of aggression. For different clients that are in my neighborhood or in my area. No, and I think that's what you're talking about, a female being aggressive or a male being aggressive. But no, you put a muzzle on them, hold that head still, and you should be straight. Liebe said, I have an XL female that just whelped her first litter of 2 puppies, 1 boy, 1 girl. My girl, congratulations, Rick. He said my girl weighed 119 and stood at 21 inches. That's a legitimate XL right there. That's a big girl. When she delivered. Okay. So, yeah, congratulations on your litter. She's whelping them now. She's doing good. Just keep an eye on them. See how she moves around them. These dogs are rough dogs. You know what I mean? Cardi's first litter, she accidentally killed one of her pups trying to get closer to another pup. She was just doing too much. She was trying to keep all the pups latched to her, had one pup that she was passing and trying to get to another pup, and she accidentally smashed that pup with her forearm trying to slide herself. So these are just rough dogs. They're used to being rough with us, so just keep an eye on her. I do separate the dogs when I can't keep an eye on. I separate them from the litter when I can't watch them. If I were to create a breed, it would consist of Game APBT, German Boxer, Belgian Malinois. Hey, that's a good one, dude. Now you're gonna have a hyper ass dog because of that Belgian, that Boxer, that game. It's gonna be hyper as shit. My Floyd is actually 3/4 old family. He's an inbred dog, but he's 3/4 old family red nose, and 1/4 Boxer. So his mom was 100% old family red nose. She was accidentally bred to a Boxer, produced a male. That male was then bred back to her, which is what produced Floyd. And I wanted a gamey dog with a little more leg length so that I could keep up with my bull lurcher while we were hunting coyotes. A lot of other things weren't that big of a deal. Bobcat wasn't that big of a deal. Hogs wasn't that big of a deal. But she was so fast, a lot of times she would chase after a coyote, and she could be out there. And I needed a dog that he didn't have to be as fast as her, but could keep up with her and go to war with her against other coyotes. So there's been times where she's chased a coyote down, caught it. The coyotes hear the fight, they see it, they jump in it, and that was my problem. And I just had her and a Jack Russell. So I'd grab the Jack Russell, be running behind her, and then the coyotes would jump her. And she could handle 3-4 coyotes, no problem, trying to attack her. But there was times where it would be 4 or 5 coyotes, would get too much. So it might be 1 or 2 coyotes that seem to be a little bigger than what you would expect 2 male coyotes to be hanging around each other. And that's what made me go get him. And then once I got him, and by the time he hit I'd say 6 to 8 months old, he couldn't keep up with her, but he could back her up in a fight. against coyotes and even against bobcat. And once he hit a year old, it was game over. He was killing coyotes left and right by himself. But that's why he was bred that way. So that's kind of almost like he just don't have the Belgian Malinois, but he got the boxer and the APBT. Let's see. John White said, I started my own breed in progress with American Bully, Pacific Bulldog, okay, and Oldie Bulldog. I'm honest on paper and everything, but papers don't make a breed. That's exactly what it is. That's an actual. And keep me up to date on how that goes, dude, and let me know, where you're at with it. What generation you're at, because that's interesting. Make sure you tune in on the lives and keep us all, keep us all aware of what you've done with it, because that's a dope breeding, and I'd like to see how that turns out, and also what your purpose is in it. But yeah, you're 100% right. Papers do not make the breed. The breed makes the papers. Let's see. John White said with the American Bully, it's a concept because of how many breeds are in there. A lot of them have oldie in them, and the oldie was the Wild West before the exotics were thought of. See, and I get it. I can't argue with that, because the oldie, exactly, it was a lot of stuff thrown in there. Then we're bringing oldie in up front recently, especially with the Merles. Then our Merles are breeding, and then the non-Merles get sold as regular non-Merle American Bullies. So, but yet their mom or dad was a Merle whose dad or grandfather was a oldie. So I can't argue with that. I have my arguments for why it might be a breed. I have my arguments for why it might be a still a concept. Let's see. He said the genotype and phenotype is like a giant swimming pool. I agree again. Now, according to Embark, they are able to test American Bullies, and it will show whether it's an Amstaff or American Bully or an American Bulldog. So I don't fully, I know there's markers they have set. I don't understand how those markers are set for the American Bully, though. Mr. J, what's up, bruh? He said we have a breeding with a growing concept. Exactly, because it keeps changing. It keeps altering. So and that is a problem within this breed. Let's see. Rubble said, how much real APBT would you say there are in bullies? I'd say almost zero. As far as true American Pit Bull Terriers, the closest thing that the Gray Line has some extremely driven Amstaffs back in the day. I don't believe you can maintain American Pit Bull Terrier without breeding it for purpose. And once you begin breeding it for color, you begin to create a Amstaff. So, but Gray Line has some extremely gamey has some extremely gamey Amstaff and driven Amstaffs, I'll say. So when it comes to American Pit Bull Terrier and American Bullies, I would say it's pretty much non-existent. It's mostly Amstaffs, and Amstaff and American Pit Bull Terrier are not the same. And then when you breed the temperament and size to be a different thing, you just eliminated the American Pit Bull Terrier that made up the Amstaff. So I would say next to none. Let's see. The American Bully is a breed in progress, in my opinion. It's definitely a breed in progress. If it's a breed and not a concept, it is definitely a breed in progress. Casper said, tough question. Recently, I've seen some bully breeders adding game pit bullies to their program. I don't know why they would do that, unless they're going to use it for working purposes. Then that makes sense. But if you're breeding it to be an American Bully, I don't know why you would breed game pit, because even if you wanted it to work, you could have just bred Amstaff or American Bulldog. You could have bred Amstaff and kept the look, or American Bulldog and risk possibly losing the look, because you don't want to get the underbite or anything. But I don't know why they would breed a game pit to an American Bully when you could have just went to an Amstaff. But some breeders do things because that's all they have access to. Jamie P, House of Blue Pit Bulls founder. Okay. Let's see. Mr. J said, hold on. Jamie P, House of Blue Pit Bulls founder. Not too sure what you're getting at, Rick. Mr. J said, where are still, because we spoke on Gray Line. Maybe that's what you're talking about. But why does it say 8 on here and it says 7 on here? Let's see. Mr. J said, we're still developing the bully breed, smoothing out the edges, so to speak. Once it's been around long as the GSD or the Yorkie or Rotties, I think there will be less drastic variations. I agree. I think we will be honing. I think the next 5 years is still going to be a battle. I think the next 5 years after that, the breed might start honing it in. Here's the trick to that: is a lot of right now. This is considered one of the fastest growing breeds, but yet the masses don't really know it exists. So what that means is this is a highly influenced. This is the one of the fastest growing breeds because it's got so many damn breeders in it. When these dogs, so right now we're kind of starting to see things come together a little bit. There's still a lot of variation, but not as much as when I got involved 5 to 7 years ago. About 5 years ago when we first started logging in, looking at bullies. So when I first started looking at bullies, they were all over the place. I do see a difference now in them kind of coming together. The question is, in the next 5 to 10 years, this breed is going to hit the masses. And when it hits the masses, is that going to be an opening for them to get more, for that variation to blow back up? You know what I mean? I think that's something we all kind of got to be leery of. Hopefully we get consistency within the next 5 to 10 years before it hits the masses, and hopefully we've eliminated a lot of the breeders that are just breeding anything and have no direction in their breeding other than make money or breeding extreme sloppy dogs, So hopefully the community educates itself and we eliminate those style breeders. Let me see. We're almost to the bottom of the comments. Let's say, yep, that's a lengthy stage. Exactly. I think, hold on, 8, 8, 12, 8, 24. So I see. Okay. So I'm about an hour back on the comments. Let's see. Now, does a proven producer strengthen the odds of his offspring doing the same? A proven producer does strengthen the odds of his offspring being proven producers, but you are, let me make sure, hold on. But you are with a proven producer. What you are doing is by taking them to other females, you are watering that down. So, but yes, the odds of him being a proven producer are higher than him being, a scatterbred dog. So the odds are higher. Somebody said facts. WKR said you have to know the drives. Exactly. Study drives. The same way some people see a leg, some people see a leg, stifles, feet. You see what I'm saying? They see a breakdown. Your temperament of your dog should be the same way. Some people see just overall personality. Some people see a temperament. When you say temperament, that means you're talking drives and thresholds. When you see a personality, that means you probably don't know. But when you see temperament, you're talking drives and thresholds. And when you start learning to see them, you'll see them the same way you see color. Yeah. All right, y'all. My bad. I'm back. We're gonna go ahead and wrap this up because I'm getting a bunch of telephone calls. Let's see here. Benefits of outcrossing if think my female is too far inbred. Benefits of outcrossing is you open up those genetics. So, and you just want to make sure you're outcrossing to a dog that you're looking that has the traits you're looking for. So if you feel if she's an inbred dog and you outcross, you're opening those genetics back up for for you to continue doing breedings. And that's all it is. You're just opening up those genetics. You don't definitely if she's inbred, you don't want to do another inbreeding. Outcross to a dog that's got the traits that you're looking for. Now, the question is, do you want to outcross to a dog that's of a bloodline? Or do you want to outcross to a scatterbred dog? I personally feel if I've got an inbred dog, I like the traits of the dog, I'd rather find a scatterbred dog with traits that match my inbred dog, and that way I'm keeping everything. But B, thank you very so much. Hey, thank you for joining in and watching. Like I said, I enjoy the conversation. Mr. J said, I definitely, yes. So next week, y'all be ready for that. We're going to open the live up for people to start jumping in since now we know it works. Do you stud your males out? We don't promote it, but yes, we are currently studying out King, and we are studying out his son Aziz as of right now. We are more focused on Aziz, but if you're he hasn't bred though yet. So hit me up and we can talk about prices. We don't charge high prices or anything like that. We don't have a bunch of funny, stipulations. We keep it simple. I'm old school. My cousin's old school. So we keep it all simple. But definitely hit us up. The two males we are studying out right now are King and Aziz. We just don't promote it. That's it. You ask us, we say yeah. And, now with King, because he's produced, we aren't as picky as about the females that he goes to. Aziz, we are a little more picky, but because we have an idea of what we put together, we're nowhere as picky about the breedings of our studs as we were when we first got King. We were very, very picky. Now that we know what they have to offer and what they can do for other dogs, then we do want to see the female, but we're not as picky as we used to be. Let's see. Rick Libre said, thank you. There 8 weeks. Oh, okay. And doing great. Mama has showed phenomenal motherly instinct. See, that's dope. That's dope. Because I'm going to tell you right now, Cardi Bull, she might be better this next time around, but she was a pain in my butt. She's just a goofy, silly girl. And she was a pain in my butt the first time. And then my son was out of town. So when he was out of town with work when she got pregnant. He came back when she delivered the pups. And actually, he came back about 3 weeks. The pups were about 3 weeks old, and they're like best friends. And when he showed up, bam, she wanted nothing to do with those pups. All she wanted to do was be around him. That was all she was focused on. And so my wife, my daughter, my son, we had to take over. She would actually sit by him watching him feed pups, is how addicted she is to my son. I think now she would probably do a lot better because she's older now and she's been through it before. He says Steve from the start continues to care for her pups daily. XL, what is that? Let me read that on this bigger screen. XL blotched with the pedigrees and bone. Okay, nice. There you go. But like I said, congratulations. It's nothing like when that litter turns out and pops, because these dogs are not the easiest to get pregnant. You got to get that rhythm going. Casper said, do you drop off your dog for a stud session or wait with the client until the dogs are tied? If it's King is a big boy. The average female XL, he's too big to breed to. So therefore he would have to do an AI. There's only been a few. I think there's one female in the game, and that's Nunu, which is owned by Jason's Bay Boy Bullies. She's probably the only female that King could actually mount successfully. Other females, they tend to be a little too short, and it's kind of a hit and miss. So we've been doing AIs with King. King Son Aziz is able to breed. He's at that perfect height where he can breed with most females, no problem. We do not drop off our studs. What we will do is we will bring them to you and, go from there. Now, when I was breeding pits, every now and then we did have situations where I would have to spend the night at that person's house. I think these dogs are a little friendlier, so that's not that big of a deal. But I do remember twice having females where I had to spend the night at the dude's house with my male to breed him, to give them more time to be together and get used to each other. But no, we do not drop off our dogs. Um, let's see. Dom said, thank you for another gym, bro. Thank you for tuning in. And let me make sure, Casper, you said, do you drop off your dog for stud session or wait with the client until the dogs are tied? So, yeah, we will be there the entire time. We do not drop them off at all. We don't want nothing going wrong. And at the same time, you want your male comfortable. You know what I mean? So we don't drop off we don't do any dropping off. Other than that, that looks like that's it. Thank y'all for joining tonight's live. We went 2 hours and 34 minutes. So next week, we're going to try to keep it down to an hour. That way it's easier for people to go back and watch. And we're going to be bringing people onto the live now that we know that works. So other than that, thank y'all for tuning in, and I'm out.